everyone. Thank you for your patience. I would like to welcome you all to the second season of the ServiceDesk Plus Masterclass series. In the previous season, we looked into the various incident management module and the service request module and the various ITSM processes. We looked into each and every module of ServiceDesk Plus Cloud and how you could improve the overall service desk efficiency of your organization. We are back again with season two, where we'll be looking into the advanced functionalities of ServiceDesk Plus and how you can use them to its maximum potential. So, in today's episode one, we'll be looking into how you can design and create dynamic templates using the cloud version of ServiceDesk Plus. So, we'll explore into the various automations, the simple no code automations behind the templates, and how you can rope in stakeholders directly to your templates, and so on. And before getting started, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Vidya Lakshmi, the product expert from Manage Engine Service Desk Plus team, and I'll be the trainer for your session today. Now, let's take a sneak peek of today's agenda. In the real world ITSM scenarios, in real world IT service desk scenarios, there is a need for different templates in order to handle different scenarios with respect to incidents, service requests, and the other practices. It extends to other practices like problems, purchase, and so on. We need different types of templates for different types of incidents. On a daily basis, the IT service desk receives incident tickets for printer issues, for Wi-Fi issues, for server maintenance, and so much more. So you cannot just keep recording this information in a default request template, because the default request template can only do so much. It can only record the essentials, whereas every organization has their unique needs, and for that you need custom dynamic forms, and that is exactly what we provide with Service Desk Plus. A lot of you would be using the default templates for the different ITSM practices. From this session, you'll be able to understand more about how you can customize templates and configure them based on the unique needs of your organization. First, I'll show you how you can configure templates with respect to the critical ITSM practices like incidents, service requests, and changes. And then we'll see how you can create custom templates for other practices such as project, release, and so on. And then we'll also see how you can configure templates for minor templates such as tasks, solutions, resolutions, and replies. Let's move ahead with the session and see the use case for today's episode. So, a lot of you might be familiar with Zilker. Zilker is our fictitious organization, which we have been using in our previous masterclass sessions in order to discuss the various ITSM scenarios and how Zilker has been handling all the challenges over all these years. In today's episode, Zilker is a growing technology company, and they have their user base that has grown internationally. So, they started from scratch, they were a startup, and right now they have grown to 8,000 plus employees spread across the globe. So, right now they are embracing the hybrid work model like most of us, and hence, as you all know, it comes with its own challenges, right? I mean, the ITSM processes ranging from incidents, service requests, up to problems and releases, and so on. It all becomes complicated with the hybrid work model. And today, in this episode, they are faced with the challenge of the absence of mechanisms. So they are currently using legacy tools such as email and spreadsheets. And even though they are using Service Desk Plus Cloud in order to record incidents and other ITSM scenarios, they are unable to achieve service desk efficiency because they haven't been using the customization part of the templates. And that's exactly what we are going to see today. So now let's take a deeper look at what's at stake for Zilker. So Zilker has been facing various challenges with respect to incidents, service requests, and changes. So you all know how time-sensitive incidents are, right? And Zilker has been struggling to handle incidents. Their technicians are always on firefighting mode. They are in a hybrid work model. Employees are spread across, and the technicians are also working remotely and in hybrid. So since they don't have a template that records different information for the different ITSM scenarios, they are just using the default template, and hence they have to manually assign the priority, manually route the tickets, and so on. So this has resulted in delayed resolution of incident tickets. And then with respect to service requests, they haven't been able to provide the kind of employee experience that they were providing a few years ago. So ever since the hybrid work model has started, they haven't been able to meet to the requirements. Their new hires are provided with a disastrous first day experience. And that's because, as I mentioned earlier, Zilker is on a hiring spree, and a lot of new hires are unable to receive their gadgets on time to the delivered address that they have mentioned. So there is a mix-up of address because they don't have a proper form to collect the relevant details from the relevant users. So that has resulted in a constant back and forth between the end users and Zilker IT help desk. So the levels of chaos has increased, and with respect to change management, even though Zilker is trying to handle it, they have been treating all the changes in a similar fashion, as in Zilker has been performing a lot of changes, ranging from minor changes such as rolling out software updates up to performing major changes such as infrastructure upgrade and migrations. So they have been using the same default change template in order to record all the different types of change information, and hence that has resulted in business downtime. And downtime is something you would never want for your organization because it is a very costly mistake. Now, let's see what Zilker can do differently by configuring custom dynamic templates for each of these ITSM practices. So Zilker is going to configure custom incident templates, and by doing that, they were able to pre-populate data such as priority. The tickets were automatically assigned, and a couple of smart automations are behind this. So since everything is ingrained right within the template, all the boilerplate information is right there, and all the technicians have to do now is just raise a ticket, and all the data is pre-populated. They just have to submit the ticket, and it saves a lot of time for the end users as well. So all the time sensitive incidents are resolved, the SLAs aren't breached, and that has increased the employee satisfaction. And talking about the employee satisfaction with respect to service request management, Zilker has been using custom service request templates, and they have been utilizing the dynamic nature of these forms. So this way, they were able to collect all the relevant information of the right users at the right time. As in, they were able to collect all the right information of the new hires, and hence they were able to deliver services right on time instead of doing the constant back and forth. And with respect to change management, Zilker has standardized the change management process for every different type of change. So now they have separate change templates for major changes, separate template for minor changes, and separate templates for emergency changes. So this has minimized the downtime, and as a result, the processes in Zilker are much more at ease, and it has increased the service desk productivity. Now, let's see this in action. Let's see how Zilker is going to configure custom dynamic templates for critical ITSM practices such as incident service requests and changes. First up, we have incident management. So let's look at the incident management process at Zilker, and let's see how they are going to improvise it. So Zilker's employees are facing incidents on a daily basis. So minor incidents such as printers and Wi-Fi issues. So today they are faced with a specific issue such as the application sign-in. So a lot of employees are unable to access a particular application, and now you know that Zilker is 8,000 plus in number, right? Imagine 8,000 plus employees flooding the service desk with tickets. So that would overwhelm your technicians. So if they had been using the default request template, incident request template, then that would just be a complete disaster. But since they have started utilizing the custom dynamic templates for incidents, now they are able to swiftly resolve it. Now let's go over the features and functionalities. So first I'll show you how you can configure an incident template for different incident scenarios. And then I'll show you how you can restrict the access of these templates to particular technicians and user groups. Then we'll also see how to make this form dynamic and also a couple of automations. So now I'm going to take you to the to Service Desk Plus. But before I show you how you can configure this, let me show you how this appears from the end user's perspective. So right now I'm in the self-service portal of Mary. So Mary is an employee of Zilker, and this is the unified self-service portal. So Mary is unable to log into MS Office. So now she is going to raise this incident. Once she clicks on report an issue, I'm sorry, just give me a second to reload. So this is the self-service portal, and you can see that you can raise incidents and service requests over here. So now I'm going to report an issue. So when I click on report an issue, I can see that there are multiple templates for different types of incidents. So there is there is a separate template for workstation issue. There is a separate template for faulty keyboard, for mail fetching issues, and so on. So right now I'm unable to access MS Office. So I'm going to click on application sign-in template. So you can see that a lot of information has already been pre-populated. The incident has been categorized, subcategorized, and the information for the subject and description is already pre-populated. And as I scroll below, I can see all the tasks that are checked that are going to be carried out for this particular incident ticket. So I'm just going to fill in the necessary fields. So right now, I'm going to fill when the incident has taken place. So I'm filling in the date and time. Now you can see that the resource field has popped up. So this is what I meant about the dynamic nature of the form. So this way, by asking relevant questions, you can collect contextual information in a sequential manner from your end users. So I'm going to select the resource. So I'm unable to access MS Office from my Dell workstation. So I'm selecting this and I'm going to submit the request. So this is how end user Mary raises a ticket. Now I'm going to take you to the admin's account and show you how this appears from a technician's perspective. So right now we are in the admin's portal and we are in the setup. So I'm going to show you how you can configure an incident template. So you can access the incident template from templates and forms. So in this session, we'll be focusing over all the templates under the various modules, and all of these are available under templates and forms. So now I'm going to click on incident template. So the incident template opens the list view of all the incident templates for the different incident scenarios. And all of these templates were accessible from the self-service portal. So you can create a new incident template from here, or and you can also copy an incident template. So I'll go over this feature towards the end. For now, let me show you how you can configure the application sign-in template. So this is the form that we just saw. So once you open the template, you will be able to find 4 tabs. So I would like to highlight them. In the technician's view, you'll be able to see all the fields that are available to the technician. In the requester view, you'll be able to see restricted fields because you don't want to overwhelm your users with a field-heavy form. So you are going to minimize the number of fields available to the requester, and in the task in the task tab, you can configure the tasks that are that should be carried out for this particular incident. And form rules is where you can configure the dynamic nature of the forms. So let me go over this one by one. So in the technician's view, you can see that there is a header, and then there is a drag and drop canvas and the field list which you can drag and drop. So I'm just going to select one of the fields and drag and drop it over the highlighted area. So the emails to notify field will allow you to specify people to be copied for auto communication. And this would immediately communicate details of instant creation, resolution, and closure. And you can also play around with the fields. So you can change the alignment of the fields, and you can also add new sections from here. So you can also change the individual field properties by clicking on this cog wheel. So you can choose to mandate a field, or you can allow the requester to set the field, or you can just provide read permission. So the end user will only be able to view the field and not edit it. After that, you can auto-populate certain information. So this would save time for both your technicians and end users. Because when an incident ticket is raised, it's not just the end users. Maybe your end users might call your service desk, or they would walk up to your service desk team, and your technicians would raise the incident ticket on behalf of them. So if you auto-populate all of this information under the technician and requester view, it would be easier for your users to submit the incident ticket. So as you scroll down, you can see that there is a section to restrict access. So you can choose the specific technician groups. So this would ensure that this incident template is available only to the particular technician group. So you can choose multiple technician groups from here. And then once you enable the show to requester checkbox, this template, incident template, will be available to requesters. So this is how end user Mary was able to access this incident form. Similarly, you can also restrict the access of this incident template to particular user groups as well. So if I want to restrict this to only managers, then I can show this to managers alone. So now let's see the requester view. So in the requester view, you can shift between the different elements and change the alignment. And you can also add new fields from here. So you can add new fields from either using the customization menu under setup, or you can add new fields within the incident template itself. And then you can also see a preview of how this form is going to appear for the end user. So this is the exact form that Mary filled in. So you can see a preview of this form right from here. And then moving on to the task tab, you will be able to create and manage multiple tasks for this particular incident. So based on the complexity of the incident, it can be broken down into sub-activities or tasks. You can mark technicians, you can create a new task, and then you can mark technicians, you can assign the priority, the cost and effort involved, and hence you can avoid the cost overruns. And then you can also map the dependency. So you can map the dependency by clicking on manage the task dependency. So this is the logical relationship between the task, and it defines the order of the completion of the task. So this will help your technicians working on the ticket to get an overview of all the associated tasks at a single glance. And this icon over here indicates the task dependency. And you can also configure requester permissions in order to allow your requester or end user to select the task or view the task. You can also choose to trigger task manually or upon creation of request or approval of the incident request. Now let's move on to form rules. So we saw that the form was dynamic, right? So once I entered a particular field, another field popped up. So you can create form rules by clicking on new rule. Let me show you how I configured the existing form rules. So you can choose to restrict this to users, requesters, or technicians. And then you can choose to apply this form rule to selected templates. So the form rules that you create here are template specific. And then you can also choose to execute this request on field change or on form load or on form submit. And then you can perform condition based actions. So you can choose to define field restrictions. You can perform automated customizations, and you can enable the usage of the same template for different purposes. So you can choose your conditions over here. So you have a number of possibilities and you can perform multiple actions. So it's not just limited to hiding and showing fields. So you can clear options, you can set value to the field, you can even add tasks using form rules. So using form rules, you'll be able to define this while the form is being created. So now let me show you the automation behind this. So we have the team sign-in lifecycle associated to this particular incident template. So you can see that the incident template has a lot of customizations, tasks, and the dynamic nature and the automation. Everything has been ingrained right within the incident template itself. So now let me show you where you can go and configure the lifecycle. So under setup, you'll be able to find life cycles under automation. So you will be able to configure a request lifecycle. You can also configure life cycles for problems and assets. So right now, let me show you how you can create a new lifecycle. So you can create a new lifecycle by providing a name and associating it with a particular template. So I have already created a lifecycle for the team sign-in issue. For the team sign-in incident, I have created this life cycle using the drag and drop canvas by associating the application sign-in template. So right from the time the incident was reported until the time it is closed, you can guide your technicians through every stage on what route has to be taken by defining stage by stage and performing condition based actions. So I'm not going to go over this in detail because we'll be covering this in our upcoming episodes. So please stay tuned for that. I wanted to highlight that you can directly link this request lifecycle automation to the template that you have created. So this is how Zilker was able to link automations to its templates directly by utilizing lifecycles. So now coming back, we just saw how we can configure the form layout for instant templates, how to restrict access, and then how to make the form dynamic using form rules, and also a couple of automations like task dependencies and request lifecycle. Now let me take you to the service request management part of Zilker. So Zilker IT Help Desk has been trying its best to provide a seamless onboarding experience to its new hires. Now let's see how Zilker is going to achieve this by using or by configuring custom dynamic templates for service requests. So I'll start with how you can configure a template for service request, and then how you can associate the cost details, how you can ask relevant questions in order to collect resource information. And then we'll also see how to fasten the process of approvals and ensure that the services are delivered on time. So now I'm taking you to the self-service portal. So now let's see how end user Mary is going to access the services in Zilker. So I'm going to request for a service from here. So I'm greeted with all the services that are available in Zilker. So Zilker flaunts all the services that it's providing from its service desk. It has email services, hardware, payroll, and so on. So now I'm going to go with the most commonly raised request, that is onboarding. So currently they are on a hiring spree and I'm going to raise the onboarding service request. So you can see that this is very much similar to the incident template, but it has some stark differences such as the SLAs and the cost details. So the end user will be able to change the SLA right from here. So they can select the SLA and they can also see the split up of the cost details. And as usual, the information has been pre-populated. So this saves up a lot of time for the end user. And now I'm going to fill in the resource details. So the category of the new hire. So I'm going to select contractor and a bunch of fields pop up. So let's say I'm going to select freelancer. So another bunch of fields pop up. Now let's say I'm going to enter the details of a permanent employee, a completely different bunch of fields pop up. So this is the extent to which you can use form rules. So you can configure a bunch of actions where you provide new fields to collect relevant information, and then you can mandate them. And also, after I select the OS details, another bunch of fields pop up, and you can see that they are graphical and they are very visually appealing to the end user. So it has the Apple keyboard, it has the icon, the display, it has the cost details, and the relevant information of the product. So I'm just going to select the gadgets, and it gets added to the cost details automatically. So this way, the end user will have an idea of when the service will be delivered and how much it's going to cost the organization. So this is how Zilker was able to up their employee experience game, and by doing that, they were able to increase the employee retention in their organization. So now let me show you how you can configure a service request template. So you can access the service category right from templates and forms. You'll be able to find different service categories for the different services they are providing. So these are the common services that Zilker is providing: the internet access, hardware, and so on. So right now I'm going to show you how you can create a new template. So you can create a new service category from here, and then under every service category, you can add multiple service templates. So now let me show you how you can add the employee onboarding template. Let me show you how this is configured. So this is very much similar to the incident template that we saw earlier. Now let me show you how a new section is added. So I'm just going to add the new section, drag and drop it. By clicking on the untitled field, you'll be able to edit the section name. And then you can see that there are specific new fields available for the service request. So these are very specific and exclusive to service request alone. So we have approvers, and there is also another field called editor. So let me just search for it over here. So you can use the search option to search for relevant fields. So the service request will have multiple stages of approvals, and that is why we have the approvers field. And the service requests, such as employee onboarding, will have multiple users, multiple managers, like the hiring manager, the team lead, and so on, to be added to the service template. So let's say I'm selecting a particular user, Joanne. So this person is the team lead, and this person, the team lead, would be entering all the gadget details of the new employee. Since multiple people are involved in the employee onboarding process, you can add them using the editor field. So you can add new fields right from here. It is as easy as just selecting the type of field you want. So you can drag and drop it on the highlighted area. And once you do that, you can choose to provide the field name, minimum and maximum characters. Let's say I'm adding the email. And then I can also provide a default value. So all of this would save up a lot of time for your end users while filling in the form. And if it has sensitive, confidential information that is private to the user, you can mark it as PII, that is personally identifiable information. So this way you can stay compliant with the global data regulation laws. And you can also choose to encrypt this field. So this way you are anonymizing the details, and this ensures that you cannot fetch these encrypted details through custom filters or through reports, and they cannot be fetched through the advanced search options as well. So now let's move ahead to the resource information section. Before that, I would just like to highlight one more section that we have here. So as you scroll down, you have the cost details. So this would provide the end user with the additional service cost involved, and you can also add cost comments, and similarly restrict the access of this template to technician groups and user groups. Now moving on, we can configure the resource information. So you can add new questions by using the resource information tab. So we saw how dynamic the service request form for onboarding was right. So we have the new hire details section. We got the personal details, asset details, and we also got the gadget information and so on. So now let's see how you can add them. So under add resource, you can provide a title and choose from the existing questions. So you can bulk select them. And if you want to view how the field would look like, you can choose to expand it and view, or you can create new questions. So it could be a simple yes or no question, or it could be a checkbox and so on. You can also enable the advanced layout if you want to add images. So you can choose to add it manually. So this way you have to add the option, provide the name. So let's say you're adding a Dell laptop. So you're adding the image, so you can fetch it from your computer and you can provide the service cost. So you're adding the details. So this is how it would look visually appealing to your end user. Or you can select it from the existing products in ServiceDesk Plus Cloud. So you can access it from here. Let's say you want the HP laptop, you can access it from here and you can add multiple products. So similarly, you can add multiple questions based on your requirements. Now let's move on to approvals. So, as I mentioned earlier, service request management has different levels of approvals, and you can manage it from here. You can add multiple stages of approvals up to 5 stages. So, you can either add individual approvals, so you can configure by adding organization roles such as the manager, or you can add individual users. But it's always best practice to add from the organization roles, because let's say your employee who's the manager chooses to quit the organization, then you have to manually add it in all the places. Instead, if you choose the role, it would automatically be mapped. And you can also perform one-time configurations, such as sending approval notifications automatically to your end user or showing the approval to requester and so on. Now let's move on to SLAs. So we saw how the end user Mary was able to associate the SLA from within the service request template, right? So you can add it from here. You can click on this drop down and create a new SLA right from here. So this would save up a lot of time for your technicians. Instead of going to automations and then selecting SLA and then filling in the details, they can access this right within the template itself. And you can also choose to associate from the existing SLAs over here. And we also have task and form rules. This is pretty much the same. So in form rules, we saw how we use the same form for permanent employees, for contractors, as well as freelancers. So earlier, Zilker was using separate forms for permanent employees and for the different types of employees, and that made the process quite lengthy. But now they have been able to segment it under the same form itself. So this is the extent of the no-code automations that we offer at ServiceDesk Plus Cloud. And you can also associate this service request template to a request lifecycle from automations. So with that, we have seen how we can configure approval mechanisms, and then how to associate the cost details, how to showcase all resources, and how to ensure that all the services are delivered on time. So now let's see how Zilker was able to standardize the change management process and how they were able to bring resources and data together with respect to change management. So earlier, as I mentioned, they were using the same process for all the different changes, for the minor updates up to the emergency changes and the major infrastructure upgrades. So right now, Zilker is going to perform major changes with respect to migration and backup. Now, I'll just go over the following features to explain you how Zilker was able to achieve this using the custom change templates. So Zilker used the custom change template for different scenarios, and then they were able to loop in the change rules within the template. They were able to associate the workflow automation to the template and also add the task and extend this capability to end users. And they were able to perform all of this by using the change template itself. So now let me take you to ServiceDesk Plus Cloud. So under the changes module, you can see that Zilker has been performing the various different changes. You can see the different tickets, change tickets that have been raised for migration and for upgrading the technology infrastructure. Now let me take you to how you can create a new change ticket. So you can create a new change ticket from here. So this is the default change ticket. Since Zilker is going to perform a migration and backup, it comes under a major change. So I'm going to select major change. Now you can see that automatically the workflow has also changed. So the major change is mapped to the major change workflow. So you can associate the workflows from this drop down, and you can see that the fields appear slightly different from the default request template. You can see that the change roles have already been pre-populated. A lot of information has been pre-populated about the risk involved, the reason for the change, and also the change roles such as approver, reviewer, and so on. So now all that is left for your technician is to just fill in the type of change and and the description of the change. So this saves up a lot of time for your technicians. Your technician needn't use the default change request to enter the details again and again and then customize it later. So now let me show you how you can configure this change template. So Zilker has improvised its change management process by using different templates for general changes. They have a separate template for emergency changes. They have a separate template for major changes and so on. So you can see that the general template is marked as default. So every time a new change ticket is raised, the general change template would populate. So now let's see how the major change template has been configured. So this is very much similar to the previous templates that we have seen. We have the drag and drop feature, and then you can choose to configure the individual field properties. You can auto-populate field information, such as the services that are affected, the assets involved. So this way, your change or your change roles, all the users associated to the change roles will be able to assess the risk of the change and they'll be able to arrive at a decision. So this helps in the planning phase. Once you click on say, you'll be able to configure the other tabs such as roles, task, and form rules. So you can further configure the roles over here. So you can associate this to a general change, or you can select the emergency change type if it belongs to that. And then you can associate the workflow right from here. So let me take you to the new fields and show you the field that is specific to the change management process. So when you click on new role and place it on the highlighted area, you will be able to provide a name and the access permissions. Let's say you are going to provide a change planner. So I'm going to click on save. Since I've already created for ease of access, you can find it in the available field. So you can just drag and drop and map the user from here. So this way, it would save a lot of time for your technicians. And now let's move on to tasks. So similarly, you'll be able to add tasks and manage them from here. The difference is that you'll be able to move this across the different stages of the change. So change has currently 8 stages. So in Service Desk Plus, we provide 8 stages so you can plan your change well. So you can check the particular task you want to move and you can move it across the different stage. So this way, you can easily associate the task to the different stages of the change management process. And there are also form rules. Then this is very much similar to what we saw earlier. So you can make the change template dynamic. So now let me show you what's the difference in this type of form rule for change management. So you can choose to restrict the access of this form rule to requesters, technicians, or to all users except the following change roles. And then you can also perform condition-based actions. So you can disable the workflow. So I'm just going to type in the workflow over here. So this would ensure that your technicians don't fill in arbitrary values, and it would help to conserve the change management process of your organization. So you can also see that workflow has been associated over here. So you can also extend the capability of the major change template under additional settings. So you can choose to make this change template available to your end users as well. And you can also choose to restrict the availability of this template to particular user groups. And then now let me show you how you can configure the workflow automation. So you can access that under automation. So we just saw lifecycle for service request and incident management. Now you can find workflows over here. So once you click on workflows, you'll be able to access this under automation. So you can configure workflows for changes as well as releases. So we have workflows for every different type of change. So let's go and see how you can configure the workflow for a major change. So every change has 8 stages, right? So you can add the different stages for every workflow and associate it to a particular change. And you can also add approval mechanisms. So if it is an emergency change, you can consider reducing the number of stages and reducing the number of approval mechanisms. So this way, your emergency change can be implemented as soon as possible. So this is the ideation phase, and you can choose to notify to particular stakeholders. You can configure field updates and perform multiple actions. We'll cover this in detail in our upcoming episodes. This is how Zilker was able to loop in the right change roles. This is how they were able to associate automations directly to their change template. And this is how they were able to perform different changes effectively by using different change templates. Now that we have covered the essential ITSM practices, let's take a look at how Zilker was able to overcome these issues with respect to their supportive practices. So next up, we have project, release, problem, and purchase. So with ServiceDesk Plus Cloud, we offer a synergy approach with respect to change, project, and release. Because major changes like migration or infrastructure upgrade, they all cannot be carried out using a single template. So major changes like migration would just be the planning phase in the change management module. So we need project and release to plan it out with the resources available and then implement it in the release phase. So right now, let's see how Zilker was able to keep track of all their projects for the migration and how they were able to use the custom dynamic templates for the projects. So I'll be going over the following features. So I'll show you how you can capture essential information about the project using the project template, and how you can track the progress of the project using milestones, and how you can loop in the right project members. So right now I'm taking you to Service Desk Plus Cloud, and I'm taking you to the projects module. So you can see that Zilker has multiple projects. It has projects for infrastructure upgrade, for the database migration, and so on. So now I'm going to click on new project. So by default, you'll have the default project template. Since we are performing backup and migration, I'm selecting that template. So under backup and migration, you'll be able to see that the fields are auto-populated, the estimated hours and cost are already there, the description for the task to be followed is already filled in. Now, all that is left for the Zilker's technician is to just fill in certain other details, other necessary details, and add the project. So basically, all of these templates will help you and your technicians to reduce the redundant activities and focus more on revenue generating activities and reduce the downtime. So now let me take you to the templates and show you how you can configure a project template. So you can access that from templates and forms. We have a default project template. You can create a new one from here. Let me show you how the existing backup and migration template has been configured. So you can drag and drop fields from the available fields. You can create new fields from here, and you can auto-populate the information, and you can also get a preview of this. The highlight of the project template is that we have milestones. So milestones are target achievable points of every project. So this helps you to track the progress of your project with respect to milestones. So you can add a milestone from here. So all you need to do is just provide a title and description, and then you can also associate it with tasks. So every milestone will have a bunch of tasks. So you can add it directly from here, or you can go to the task tab and add it from here. So you can add tasks from here or add it from the template. So I'll go over task templates towards the end of the session. For now, I'll continue with project templates. So you can add tasks and assign them to different milestones. So I can assign this to a particular milestone from the dropdown, and I can also view the task dependency. So this would give the technician an idea of which task comes first and which depends on the completion of another task. And from the members tab, Zilker was able to add all the members of the different departments right from here. So this lists down all the members in the various departments, and you can also assign individual project roles from here. So if you don't assign, by default, the admin would be listed as project admin, and by default, the other members would be listed as team members. So you can select them and assign project roles from here. So this is how Zilker was efficiently able to manage their people and the different processes, and they were able to keep track of all their projects using the project template. So now let's move on to the next module in Zilker. So Zilker IT Help Desk, as I mentioned earlier, we have been providing a synergy approach. So we have the change, project, and release modules which are tightly integrated to each other. So Zilker IT Help Desk has utilized this and in order to minimize the downtime. So the major change that is being performed, that is the migration, it has to be phased out to be released into the IT environment. So any change in your IT environment, something as minor as a software update up to something major like the infrastructure upgrade, they can all cause significant changes. And especially if it affects your customer facing teams, then it might even ruin the reputation of your organization. And that's a huge cost to pay. So now let's see how Zilker ensured a smooth deployment process using custom release templates. So I'll cover the following features. I'll show you how you can configure one template for release, and then how you can rope in the release roles, and how you can associate the tasks for the different stages, and how you can use workflows to standardize the release management process. So now I'm taking you back to ServiceDesk Plus. So right now we are in the releases module. So you can see that Zilker has configured releases for different the different changes that are happening, the technology infrastructure upgrade, migration to cloud, and so on. So now I'm going to create a new release ticket. So by default, we have the general template, and now I'm going with the major release. So the major release template has a lot of information that have been pre-filled. So you can see the services affected, the release engineer and has already been filled in. And then we also have all the details filled in, right? So all that is required for the technician is to just fill in who has requested for the release, and submit the ticket. So this would save up a lot of time and effort for your technicians. So now let's see how this release template is configured. So you can access that from templates and forms. So we have releases for general, emergency, and major releases. So now let me take you to the template and show you how this is configured. So you have the header here. You can choose between general and emergency release. You can associate it with the workflow. And as usual, you can pre-populate all the information. So this would help your technicians to evaluate if at all there is any problem with the release. If at all the release has failed, they can quickly revert and they can roll back and see what services have been affected, which assets are involved, and so on. So this way, Zilker was able to carefully phase out their release. And once you click on Say, you'll be able to configure the different roles. So you can add multiple roles, you can add the end users, and you can also add tasks directly. So this is very much similar. You can also move the stages of every task. So with release management, we have 9 different stages. So you can move between the different stages, and we have the form rules, which again makes your release template dynamic. So now coming back, we saw how Zilker was able to phase out their migration using the custom release templates. Now let's take a look at the problem management at Zilker. So how was Zilker able to standardize their problem management? So they have been facing repeated incidents. So earlier in the session, I mentioned that Zilker was facing repeated issues with respect to application sign-in. So their employees were unable to sign into a particular application, and now Zilker is going to follow the best practice of using the problem management module in order to come up with the root cause analysis. So how does Zilker use this? Using problem life cycles and problem templates. Let's take a look at that. So now I'm taking you to the problems module. So you can see that these are different problems that have been raised in Zilker over a period of time. So there is already a problem ticket that has been raised for the application sign-in issue. Now let me show you how a new problem ticket is created. So this is the general problem template. Now I'm going to the applications issue because this is an MS Office application sign-in issue. So you can provide a due by date, a close date, and so on. So this would enable you to track the problems in your organization. So all the information is pre-populated, the technician groups involved, the services that are affected, and everything has been pre-populated. And also the task involved for the root cause analysis has been checked. So this ensures that the root cause analysis is triggered. Now let me show you how you can create a new problem template. So you can see that we have different templates, one for general and one for application issues. So you can create a new problem template over here. This is very much similar to all the previous templates that we have seen earlier. So in the problem template, imagine a technician has to create multiple problem tickets and populate similar field values. So this is where problem templates come in handy. It's the easiest way and it saves a lot of time for your technicians as everything has been pre-filled. And you can also save and configure task. So you can configure task over here, and then you can map the task dependency. So this would help your technicians to trigger the root cause analysis. All right. Now, let's see how you can add the problem lifecycle. So you can access that from automations. So you can create a new lifecycle and associate it to a particular template. So this is one of the lifecycles I have already configured. So this is very much similar to the request lifecycle. You can drag and drop the statuses and map them. So your technician will be guided through the entire problem lifecycle. So this way you can standardize the process of problem management in your organization. So we'll go over this in detail in our upcoming episodes. Now coming back. Let's take a look at the purchase management module. So Zilka's procurement team has been purchasing a lot of gadgets for their new hires. So they have to send laptops and mobile phones to their new employees to their addresses. So now let's see how they are managing their transactions. So I'll show you how they are raising purchase orders, how they are able to capture all the relevant product or service information, how the cost split up is, and how they are tracking their transactions using the purchase order template. Now I'm taking you back to Service Desk Cloud. So you can raise a new purchase order right from here. So you can see that Zilker has already raised a purchase order for the Dell laptops for their marketing team. So you can see that there is the tracking information, and then there is vendor and shipping information, the details of the product, the cost split up, and the general information such as the general ledger code, the cost information, the signing authority, and so on. So now let me show you where you can configure this. So you can access the purchase order template right from here under templates and forms. The highlight here is that you can only modify the default purchase order template and you cannot create new templates. So right now I'm just going to configure this. So this has all the boilerplate information required to raise and track your purchase orders for different products and services using Service Desk Plus. So you can edit every section. So this has essential information required for tracking. You can choose to mandate certain fields, and you can also add new fields from the right-hand pane. And then you can also edit the other fields. So with respect to the cost split up, you can choose to edit it, and you can hover over the individual fields and change the field properties. You can add or subtract costs. It all depends on your organization's requirements. So this way you can customize your purchase orders. So this way your procurement team will be able to log purchases quickly. So this is how Zilker ensured process consistency and increased the efficiency of their procurement team. So now I'm taking you back. So now that we have covered all the practices, ITSM practices, let's take a look at how you can configure templates for minor practices like tasks, solutions, resolutions, and replies. Now I'm taking you back to Service Desk Plus Cloud. You can find them over here. So I'll start from the task template. So earlier I told you I'll show you the task template, right? So certain tasks need to be repeated by technicians, and they are required for different scenarios again and again. So instead of repeatedly creating new tasks under every template, you can directly add a task template from here. So it is as simple as just providing the name and description, and then you can directly assign a group and a technician to it. You can provide the cost details. So you can use this while adding a task to request problem or change, and this would essentially allow your technicians to save time on creating and assigning tasks to other technicians. Now let's move on to the reply template. So this is used in the ticket workspace. So your technicians would be using the same responses for multiple tickets. So something like you need more details or the request is resolved. So you can create new reply templates. And the specialty is that you can append or call field values directly over here by using the dollar symbol. So you can use the dollar symbol and you can call the field values. So this way you needn't type in the information manually and you can quickly access them from the reply templates. And then we have the resolution templates. Again, your technicians need to type the same resolution again and again when the request is raised. So let's say a printer request is raised and it has been resolved. You would essentially type the cartridge has been replaced. So you needn't type it again. You can use the rich field text editor and you can customize the description based on your resolution. Now let's move ahead to solution templates. So this is the most favorite part because you can choose to categorize your solutions based on the type of incidents. So we have solution templates for printer problems, we have general solution template, we have one for VPN issues. So you can create a new resolution, a solution template from here. So you can include information for all the fields that are relevant to a solution topic. And then you can provide the topic name. You can pre-populate this data and ensure that it has been added to the corresponding topics. So this enables effective categorization of your knowledge base. Now you can provide a review date and an expiry date to ensure that your solutions stay relevant to your incidents. And then you can also provide keywords over here. So by providing keywords, this enables ease of access of this particular solution template. So now let me take you back to the self-service portal to show you how it helps the end users. So let's say I'm going to report an issue stating that I'm experiencing VPN issues. So I'm just going to use the default template over here. And now under the subject field, I'm going to type in the issue stating that I have VPN issues. So you can see that there is an auto suggest over here. So this way I would be able to instantly access the solutions right from here. So now I'm taking you back. Let's take a quick recap. We just saw how we could use custom dynamic templates across the various critical ITSM scenarios in Zilker, how they were able to overcome issues with respect to time-sensitive incidents, and how they were able to provide a pleasant onboarding experience to its employees. And then we saw how Zilker was able to effectively handle the change, project, release, management using the synergy approach, and how they were able to use the templates to track the projects, and how they were able to implement it by phasing it out slowly to the IT environment. And then we saw how they were able to perform a root cause analysis by using the problem template. And then we also saw how the procurement team used the purchase order template to record their purchases. And finally, we had a look at how we could use minor templates for repetitive or redundant activities such as tasks, solutions, and so on. If you have any more questions, you can feel free to send them across to hello@servicedeskplus.com. You can refer to our useful resources which have been linked in our handouts. So you can download it from the handouts tab. It has links to the admin guide, release notes, and product videos. We also have our website, servicedisplus.com, where you'll be able to find a lot of important information about the product. And we also have a vibrant community. We have a support portal. You can check out all the links from the handouts. And as always, if you have any questions related to the product or any feedback you would like to share regarding the masterclass sessions, you can send them across to hello@servicedisplus.com. Thank you everyone for joining this session. Thanks for being an amazing audience. So please fill in the feedback forms once I close this session. We would love to hear from you, and we would love to hear your feedback. So thank you everyone, and have a nice day. I'm going to sign off for now. And also keep a lookout for our upcoming masterclasses.